Hey everyone, Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf, and welcome to this edition of the 10 Commandments of Over the Top. If you stick to these commandments, there's absolutely no way that you can continue to swing over the top. And you'll realize as we go along how simple this is. So we're going to spend 1 minute on each item, starting with alignment, because if your alignment is off, I see so many of you lined up too far to the right, well, this is a guaranteed over the top, because if I'm trying to go to the target, I have to come back towards myself to, get the shot going to where I want it to go. So if you're going to make a mistake with alignment, you're much better off doing it to open. So if I open my feet in relation to this, so if you get on a mat on the driving range, see where the mat is pointing, and then let's say it's pointing at the 150 marker, you pick a spot in front of the ball, and you set up your feet. Typically, you'd want to have that parallel to that line right there. So just for good measure, we're going to go a little bit more to the left. So notice how my feet are lined up to the left of the mat. So from there, I'm going to try to send my swing along or parallel to the mat. There it is. You can't come over the top from that setup. And you'll see this setup is happening with so many of the pros on tour. All we need to do is now play with ball position. If I play the ball too far forward, it's going to be really difficult to go along that line. But if I play the ball a little bit further back in my stance, I find that from here, it's going to be pretty easy to go along the line of the mat. So from there, I can swing inside and out. There we go. So if you look at that particular shot, notice I started 4 degrees to the right, 4.4, and I had some nice draw side spin. You'll understand why that's important after. And notice there's my nice carry, and I'm 13 feet offline, slightly to the left, only because of the side spin. So let's look at commandment number 9, and we'll keep going. So commandment number 9 is know thy path. This is a machine that makes circles. So if I only had one arm, the center of that machine would be my shoulder, and you notice how the club keeps cutting grass underneath my shoulder socket. So I bring both hands together to take my grip. The center of that machine is right here between my clavicles. And now when I bend forward to get to the ground, you'll notice that I've got a nice diagonal arc. It's not a merry-go-round, and it's not a Ferris wheel. It's somewhere in between. So if I'm cutting grass in both directions, see how I'm cutting grass back and through without stopping, you'll notice this will set me right on plane. Once I got my swing plane, all I got to do is observe the blur of the club that passes here in front of me. So once I see the blur of the club, then I can see where it's passing. So many of you don't even know the direction that your swing is going on. So how are you supposed to fix direction when you don't even know where it's passing? So all it takes is a little observation. So right now, if I swing back and through, it looks like the blur of the club is going about 30 degrees to the left. That feels like, and I see that it's going way to the right. This is a blur that feels like it's moving slightly to the right. So if I'm playing a little draw, I want to start this a little right of my intermediate point. There we go. So this is to the right. That's not. That's not. Right edge. Stay to the right edge. And then notice the ball starts off to the right, falls to the right edge of my flagstick, and there we go. We have another 170-yard 7-iron, And that started 6 degrees to the right with 1200 spin to the left, and that's 7 feet offline on the right-hand side of the flagstick. Commandment number 8 coming right up. Commandment number 8 is distance to ball. If you're too close to the ball, watch what happens. So if I get into a posture where I feel like I'm too close to the ball, most of you who tend to do this are trying to stay in control. So you're trying to hold your arms close to your body, and you're trying to keep control over the swing instead of allowing the arms to swing freely in an arc. So when I'm a little too close to the ball, typically you're going to be very tall and very static. So now when my legs engage, watch what happens. Whoa, I'm way too close now. The only way back to the ball is to the left. If I don't swing to the left, well, I'm going to hit the ground before the ball. I'm going to shank the ball. So for so many of you, pulling to the shots to the left and shanking are basically part of the same problem. So we need to get dynamically in place, and then we need to see where the club is passing from a nice posture, and then we bring that to the ball. So now that I've got the right distance between myself and the ball, I feel like my arms and club can swing freely in an arc. They can't. I'm too bunched up. They can't. I'm too far. So if I'm falling on my toes, I'm going to react back away from the ball and hit it off the toe, also pulling it to the left. So here it is. Now I got the right distance between myself and the ball. Now I can stay to the right, stay to the right. And we got a ball starting to the right of the flag. Just overdrew a little too much. So my grip-club relationship was a little too close there. See, 2,000 RPM? But it still started 6 degrees to the right. So everything is moving nicely to the right of my target. Just my grip-club relationship on that swing was just a little too closed. No big deal. You'll see that on the next swing, that'll correct itself because my hands will never go back exactly into the same, positioning on the grip, and there's always a little bit of fluctuation there. It's only when you see a dramatic pattern that you want to make that adjustment, okay? Commandment number 7 on the way. What does it mean to swing through the ball versus at the ball? The distance between you and the ball will change dramatically depending upon that focus. So if I have a swing where I'm following the arc through the ball and past the intermediate point, that's going to move on a very specific line. So here's what that looks like. So if I get my nice posture, glutes and quads nice and solid, now I'm going to imagine I'm sending some grass clippings from my mat into the net. Here we go. Send the clippings. Send the clippings. So it's passing here. I come to the ball. Now I try to hit the ball. Whoops. So notice my club is passing way outside the ball. The only way back is stand up or come across, in which case, it's going to be early extension or over the top. But if I see the blur of my club and I stay right edge of my intermediate point throughout the whole swing, so that's right edge, and you notice, here we go again. A beautiful shot, right center of the green, nice distance. So that's 171 carry, 900 spin to the left. I'm 30 feet to the right of my pin. Nothing could be farther from over the top. And that's because, and you'll see in the next few commandments, how the two pendulums of the swing. See, the golf swing is not just one pendulum. There are two pendulums in the golf swing. And that second pendulum is what guarantees the approach from the inside when you go to the target. Stick around. We got some good stuff coming your way. Commandment number 6. follow the breadcrumb trail. Again, we have this wonderful path. It's an arc blur. And we marry that to the ball and intermediate point. Once again, I stand back here. I pick a spot in front of the ball. So just so you guys can see that, I'll put a T right here. There's my intermediate point. And all I need to see now, so if I do a practice swing above this ball, and I observe the blur of the club as it passes over the ball, I can see that the blur a few inches before and a few inches after is pointing slightly to the right of that intermediate point. This is my North Star. This is what I need to follow. I can't be looking out there anymore. If I face you and I make a golf swing, notice my golf swing is going 90 degrees to the left of you. If I swing towards you now, my binocular vision needs to see you face on. If I do that, my chest is going to face you. I'm going to open right up, and now I'm going dead left. Automatic, over the top. See how that works? Your arms are just following the positioning of this body. So if I have a ball and intermediate point, and I swing this towards you, there's my ball, there's my intermediate point. You can see that that's going pretty much into the camera. Now I see the blur moving in that direction. Can you see the blur? Notice right about here, it feels like I'm facing 30 degrees to the right of my target. But if you look down there, we got a blur moving right into the camera. This is the truth. Know where the truth is. The truth is not in your side vision. It's constantly going to fool you. So, I know where my blur is going, and I follow that blur. I follow my breadcrumb trail to the right edge of my intermediate point. Yes, it's going right edge. Yes, it's going right edge. Another one on the green. See that? So, following the blur, my swing was a hair less efficient on that one, no big deal. So my carry was 160 instead of 170, but you notice that was almost 9 degrees to the right, 1100 spin left, and I'm only offline by 19 feet. So you look, I've only missed the green once so far, okay? That's pretty good. Those are nice greens and regulation stats right there, because I'm always following my path. You see? So, number 5 coming up. Commandment number 5. Dynamically square face. Man, is that super important. If your grip club relationship is neutral, just, you know, 2 knuckles showing, nice and square, what you don't realize is when you're swinging towards your target, and the ball can't be your target. If the ball's your target, that's chaos. You won't go anywhere except 180 degrees. It could be anywhere on the planet, right? Or off the planet. But as soon as I swing in the direction of my path towards where I want the ball to go, the golf ball becomes a very precise intersection. My contact is going to improve, but if my grip is too weak, here's the acid test. If I'm playing baseball and I'm waiting for my pitch, and the pitch comes and I commit, the hands are coming through first. Look at the club face. That ball, that's foul ball. There's no way that ball can end up in the field. It's going to be pop fly right there, I'm out, or it's going to go right over the catcher. So how do I square that? Well, many of you have been told to bow the wrist. So I bow the wrist. That's partial. Now I'm going to have to make some body English. So now my body is going to the left. Body goes left. That's over the top, people. So what happens if I close the face? You know that out of the 200 top players on this planet, 150 of them have a very strong grip. Very strong grip means a good 3 to 4 knuckle grip. So here's 3 to 4 knuckles, square. If I relax, notice my hands want to come to a neutral position, but look how close that is. Let's go back into the baseball swing. Here comes the baseball. Hands come through first, then the shaft. Whoa, now we're in the park. So at this point, the ball's going to compress against the face and ride along the face as it squares up a little bit more. Now we're really getting accurate. So we need a strong to very strong grip to be able to deliver through that arc blur in the direction that we want the ball to go. So if I follow this path with a club face that's too closed, watch what happens. Yes, I'm going that way. Yes, I'm going that way. So off the ball goes, and there's my shot that's a little long and left, like we saw before when it was a little too closed. So that's 2,100 RPM, but it still started 6 degrees to the right and then overdrew. And notice the carry distance went up a little bit because now I got a 6.5 in my hands, so I picked up another 5 yards, and that could be problematic if the trouble's over the green. But let's see what happens when I'm a little too open. So if I go neutral, here's neutral, square face, and now I'm going to follow that same path. Right edge, right edge. Notice that ball started a little more right. Now look, I'm missing the green completely to the right, and I just lost a solid 15 yards. That's a club and a half. Now I'm 153 carry. Look at my side spin, 0. It just barely was closed enough, but I was swinging to the right. You don't want to come over the top, do you? Do you know that straight is 1 degree off from going to the left? So to hit a nice draw, we want to start the ball a little to the right, and we want it to come back. So to have that kind of predictability, we put a little bit stronger grip, and now we can go with it. Now, you know, those strong grips are also, most of the guys on tour fade the ball with all clubs, like Dustin Johnson. He's got the most shut face in golf, and all he does is play fades. That's what allows you to play very deep in the direction of the target. That's why he's so long and so consistent day in and day out, because the grip club relationship that he has allows him to go to the target. That's where the money is. So that's why you'll see so many of the grips on tour. Tommy Fleetwood, very strong grip. Webb Simpson, the list goes on and on. So try that strong grip so that you can stay with your target, and you notice how all of my other shots were in between those two. Commandment number 4 coming up. Release versus steer. The two enemies to your golf swing are control and effort. So imagine I've got a machete in my hands and I'm cutting bamboo shoots for a living. I grab my bamboo or my sword, I'm going to give it some momentum here, and I'm going to slash. So notice the beginning of the cut, elbow leads the hand, hand leads the blade, blade leads the tip of the blade. So beginning of cut, end of cut, and there's the release of the blade. That's where the blade catches up to my hand, and I must let it go through, or else it's going to be a checked swing. Well, you don't want to play baseball with a checked swing, do you? So when you take that baseball bat, there's a beautiful release that the bat, the weight of that bat really exercises itself against your anatomy. And if you don't yield and let the bat pass you, it's going to hurt. So we have a strong grip or neutral grip close face, one of the two, doesn't matter. Once you got that in place, now we can release through the ball and towards the target. So the two pendulums we talked about before. So pendulum number 1 is right here between my two clavicles. We use that for chipping. We use that for putting. But as soon as we go into a full swing, right about here, my trail arm's going to fold, and it's going to activate that second pendulum, which is the pendulum of the wrists. Isn't that beautiful? So notice how my hands are staying between the knees, and I've got this beautiful arc. So, 1, 2, 1, 2. Collect here. Ball comes off. Release there. Release. If I release at the ball, release. Now the second pendulum, the club is moving around the hands back to the left. Again, that can't be your target. So if I'm swinging through the arc blur into my picture, well, watch what happens on this side of the ball here. And you guys are saying, oh, that swing is upright, is too high, you're going to come over the top. Couldn't be further from the truth. I'm giving myself some space. Wide fold hinge. Now I'm going through the arc blur to the right of the intermediate point into my picture. Look at that. So you see how my hands come through first. Now the club unravels around that second pendulum. See that? So I'm collecting from here, releasing out there. Peak speed is at the target, not at the ball. How can you make it to your target? Well, we need an intermediate point, we need a proper path, we need a strong grip, and then we need resolve. I am staying that direction, and I'm staying in that direction. Boom. Now it's off to the right we go. Now I got the right corner of the green. Again, no over the top. Top 3 coming up. Number 3, backswing has to match ball direction. If I have a kid on a swing and I want the kid to swing towards you, I'm not going to take the kid this way. I mean, most of you don't realize that you take the club way outside. And then the club is obviously going to go to the left now. So I want this to just stay in the direction I want the ball to go. So back to the arc blur. When I swing back and through without stopping, observe the blur in my backswing. See that? So I see that the club is moving in a direction that would match coming back that way in the direction of my target. That's outside, that's going to come across. 2 inside, I'm stuck underneath. I have no choice but to come over the top now. So now the club is going to have to come back and over the top just to get to the ball. Beautiful series of over-the-top moves right there. So if I'm a lumberjack and I am splitting wood with an axe, so this would be splitting wood. Take the axe back there and I'm doing a beautiful over-the-top to give myself some momentum to split my wood. But if I want to just chop the tree down, all I'm going to do is set up over here behind the tree, and then I'm going to heave the axe. So now, if I'm heaving the axe into my backswing, so let's say I want to cut right there, heave. See where my axe is going to go? If I heave the axe back there, I'm falling over. If I heave the axe over here, I'm falling forward. There's only one place my brain needs to heave the axe, and that's right there. So then when I let it fall, it's going to fall from the inside into the tree because of that second pendulum. So watch as I perform my lumberjack move. So here's my grip club relationship. Got my distance to ball, and I'll take my axe. So we're going to heave the axe, and we're going to cut through that dandelion stem in the direction of the target. Here we go. We got a ball on the green, on the right side of the flag, 7.4 degrees to the right, 800 spin left, 25 feet offline with my axe drill. And just in case you want to see that again, I am delivering my axe in the direction that would be to the right of that intermediate point. See my axe? That feels like it's going to go a little to the right. If I set up like this and I heave the axe, it's obviously going to go to the left. So I've got my setup. We're going to heave the axe and let it release to the right of my intermediate point. Oh, right over the flag. Man, I hammered that. That was cool. So we got 177 carry, my best carry today. That was 8 degrees to the right, 1800 spin. I've got 20 feet offline to the left. Again, not one of my shots started to the left of the flag. It's getting pretty convincing right now, isn't it? 2 more to go. Commandment number 2, no strain, right? So we said no control before, no strain now. So what we're looking for is using the weight of the arm axe unit. Heave the axe, let the weight of the axe deliver. Heave the arm club unit, let the weight of the arm club unit follow through the arc and in the direction of the target. So if I take my arm here and I let it fall, notice it's falling into my body and collapsing into me. If I let it fall past me towards the target, well, then the brain's going to go to the ground, use the ground to get my body out of the way. So I just had a weight shift. The body cleared out of the way, and then the arm was allowed to pass through. So don't let the left arm hit me coming back. Don't let the right arm hit me coming through. Out of the way, out of the way. So now when I do that back and through in front of me, I'll see a nice blur. Out of the way. Out of the way, out of the way. So now, if I go out of the way, hit the ball hard, notice how I'm just throwing my arms into myself, and I'm just collapsing the accordion onto itself. But if I say, hey, let the arm swing past me toward the target with momentum, well, now the brain has to go to the ground, use the ground to get my body out of the way, and it engages a kinetic chain. That magic kinetic chain is self-preserving. We're all wired for it. And when I'm delivering in the direction I want my ball to start, then everything falls from the inside, and there's no way that we can go over the top. So here it is. Gather the weight of the axe. Let it release in that direction. The ball starts to the right, draws back. We got the right corner of the green. You get the picture. Again, no over the top. There's my 170 carry, 10 degrees to the right, 900 spin left. So all I got to do now is just cozy up to my intermediate point a little bit more. So if I do that, ball a little bit back of center. So now I'm going to go singe the right edge. And then off we go again. So now we got more of the side of the green, right? So as you can see, this machine is an amazing gift. Please don't look at the gift horse in the mouth. Listen to what the machine wants to do for you. So there's been numerous studies that have shown that the more you focus on body parts, the worse your performance gets. This is universal across the board. They took a dart team. They split it into 2. They took even-keeled skill. One set, they said, focus only on the bullseye, hit the bullseye, forget the rest of the board, 1 hour a day, 2 weeks. Second team, make sure you repeat the same motion, make sure you repeat the same angles, the wrists, all that stuff. 1 hour a day for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, team number 1 was 15% closer to the bullseye and 15% more bullseyes. That's a good investment. That's a good return on the investment. Now they know, because their mouths were on the ground, they didn't know if they were, improving or not. But after they saw the results after 2 weeks, and they were, they had to paid to do that. They had to do it. They didn't know if they were improving or not, but then the results show that the improvement was significant. Team number 2 went 23% in the opposite direction. Complete bankruptcy. So now you have over 30% difference between those two teams, whereas before they were pretty much even keeled. Moral of the story, stay the heck away from body parts and focus on simple tasks. Get with Wisdom in Golf, premium.com. Go to our tasks, task 2.0, task updates, everything that has to do with cutting grass, squeezing balls through door frames, you name it. We put your carpenter skills to work, your gardener skills to work. These are skills that you will never lose. You can pass them on to your kids and grandkids, and you know nothing will get lost, and you can't go backwards. So then when you know how to apply that to a golf shot through the proper setup, and you know how to predict how the ball is going to be in the way of that particular task, with that kind of predictability, that's heavenly golf. You see where I'm going? So, listen to the machine. It is fabulous. You put it in the right posture. You give it the right distance. You give it the right task. I'm going through the arc blur that way. I'm cutting through my dandelion stem with some nice momentum. So here we go. Out of the way. Out of the way. Isn't that beautiful? And there we have it. Another shot that can't go to the left. So let's see how accurate we can make this now. There's my intermediate point. Aim it a little bit less to the left. And then out of the way. Out of the way. That should be pretty good. Yep, there it is. So you see how nice and cozy I was able to make it because I made my predictions. I see a pattern. So, and you can see how, because the path is consistent, the low point of the swing is going to be consistent, and I'm going to hit some very consistent golf shots. All right, so I'm glad you joined us for these 10 commandments of over the top, and we'll see you next week.